If there is evidence that universal basic income can eliminate poverty and is at least superior to welfare, would it not be unethical to implement universal basic income? That's from Ray.
Hi.
Hey Ray, how you doing?
Good. Can I first address something, a lie that I feel like you just told related to economics and basic income from the last call?
From the last, like the one with Fritz?
Right. Because
Did
you
we
said
talk
that
about universal basic income?
you said that leftism has caused the rise of communism.
I don't think I said leftism has caused the rise of communism. I think communism is certainly on the left, and the rise of leftism would be associated with the rise of communism.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that everyone who's on the left is directly responsible for the rise of communism. The coincidental phenomenon, right? I mean, left is the umbrella term, and communism is just one of the terms on the welfare state and government education and central control of currency and socialism and so on, right?
Okay, so can we first agree that there was no attempt at communism or equality in the Soviet Union? Can we just get that out of the discussion?
Sorry, there was no attempt at what?
There was no attempt at communism or equality in the Soviet Union.
Are you saying that the Soviet Union was not communist?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Did the government control the means of production?
That's not what the definition of communism, though. The definition
Is
of
it that workers control the means of production?
Yes, so did the workers control the means of production? Okay, let's just do it that way. Did the workers control the means of production in the Soviet Union? Yes or no? Did they?
Well, somewhat, certainly, because they had workers' committees and they had workers' committees that could vote. Sorry, if you're going to ask me a question and then immediately start talking when I answer, we're going to have a very, very short conversation. Do you understand?
Okay, continue.
Thank you. Don't get upset. Don't get offended. You ask me a question, you immediately start talking in my ear when I answer it.
Okay, continue. But I'm saying is within an authoritarian state, you already know that the workers have
everyone's
no
going to drive me
control.
crazy tonight. Okay, there was some control that the workers had over the means of production in the Soviet Union.
How so?
I just explained it.
Okay, but you know that people starved to death
maybe you
in
were
the Soviet
talking and
Union,
didn't hear
right?
me?
Okay, are you aware that people starved to death in the Soviet Union?
What do you mean? I've done shows on that.
Okay.
Of course.
And are you aware that there are people who were up to maybe 300 pounds in the Soviet Union? So that there was a huge wealth inequality in the Soviet Union?
Sure.
So you're saying that the workers, with their control over the state, they had so much control over the state that they somehow decided to starve themselves?
Are you saying that there's nothing in totalitarianism, there's nothing in communism that causes totalitarianism, even though every communist country is a totalitarian dictatorship? That's completely unrelated. It's a massive coincidence.
Okay, so but do you understand that some people just lie and say that they're communists when they're not? You know how Kim Jong-un says that North Korea is democratic, but it's not really democratic at all, and everybody knows that? So
you're saying that everyone who wants a totalitarian control over a country just happens to call themselves communists rather than capolist? That's a complete coincidence.
How many dictators call themselves? How many dictators say that they are democratic? How many authoritarian regimes say that they are democratic? Almost every single one. So I mean, it's
yes, but there are
obvious.
democratic countries that aren't authoritarian regimes. There are no communist countries that aren't hell-sent dictatorships. So it's a false equivalency.
But I'm saying that the very definition of socialism and communism is a classless, stateless, egalitarian society where the workers democratically own the means of production. So by definition, those totalitarian countries don't actually count as communism. You understand that, right?
No, they do. Okay, this is this general theory
don't.
and practice stuff, right?
Actually,
I can say that so and so is a mass murderer, and their definition of mass murdering is to give people vitamin C tablets in winter when they're actually just stabbing people. Okay. Or they say, well, no, I'm a mass murderer who stabs people, but my mass murdering it's actually surgery. I mean, you can redefine things, and you actually look at the empirical results. So my question is, when a country has an existing system where the means of production are privately owned, right, in some sort of free market or quasi-free market, the means of production are privately owned by individuals, right? They have legal right to the factories that they have created from saving, from hard work, from investment, from inheritance, whatever it's going to be. They have legal title to the factories that they have created, and they have moral title too, since assuming it's a relatively free market, they did in fact go out and work to create these factories. So let's say I have a factory which produces Steph bots or
The
whatever.
first
Right?
thing
I have a
we have to
factory.
address with that
Hang on. I have a factory. How does it transition to a communist system?
Well, the first thing we would have to address is who has the right to declare that they own property.
Well, it's my factory. I built it. I created it.
Okay, but if the first thing that has to be addressed is who has the right to take property, who to say this is mine.
No, I didn't take property. I don't know if you're not hearing what I'm saying. I created the factory. Maybe I was not clear.
From what resources?
From my savings, from my investment, and from paying the people who helped me to build the factory
Okay, where did
in a
you
free
get those
exchange of
from?
value. I'm sorry?
Where did you get those from?
From savings? Well, I got my savings from not spending my money on wine, women, and song, but rather putting it under my mattress or in the bank or something.
Okay, so there was a time when there was no real property, right? Like when humans, for example, were just hunter-gatherers, there was no real property, right?
Of course there was.
No, there wasn't.
I don't know what
there
you
were
mean.
times when there was no property, where nobody.
No, of course there was property.
No,
You just said it, hunter-gatherer. So if I go out and gather berries, who is responsible for those berries coming back to the camp?
Well, yeah, but those resources are shared amongst that group, though. It's not a formal.
No, I can choose to share them.
Property.
But if you go out and hunt, if you and I go out and hunt, we're the ones who brought down the deer, right? We bring it back. Now we can choose to share and all of that kind of stuff. But saying there was no property, like if you and I go out to hunt and we shoot a deer, and then some other group comes and tries and grabs a deer and take it away, what will we do?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that?
So you and I go out and hunt a deer.
Okay.
And we use our bow and arrow. We shoot the deer. We kill the deer.
Right.
And then some other group, from some other tribe, comes and tries and takes our deer away. What are we going to do?
Okay, so from my perspective...
No. What are we going to do? Tell me what we would do in that moment.
Anyways, from my perspective...
Tell me what we would do in that moment.
In my mind, the material universe is...
Now, hang on. Don't fuck the material universe. You and I, look, you can pretend that I haven't asked you a question, but guess what? This is my show. If you don't ask my questions, I'll just move on to the next caller. I mean, that's perfectly fine with me. I got lots of callers tonight. You and I go out and hunt a deer. We shoot the deer falls down dead, and some other tribe, some other group tries to grab our deer and take off with it. What do we do?
Anyways, yeah, you would protect your hunt, but I'm just saying.
So hang on. So it's our deer.
That's a long way from claiming property, as in claiming entire land for yourself. You know what I mean?
You said there was no property. I just gave you an example of property. You can admit that you were wrong or you want to refine your definition,
property,
but don't just weasel out like I didn't say anything.
I still technically don't consider that property, though, because that's more. I think property has a much more like legal, formal usage, whereas that's much more of an informal thing that the hunter-gatherers did. You know what I mean?
So it's only property if you have a court system?
Excuse me?
It's only property if you have a court system?
I think that it's only property if there is a very strong power enforcing it.
So if I, in a primitive society, if I want to eat your arm, you have no right to exercise property control over your arm. I can just cut it off and eat it.
You have the right to self-defense, but...
Okay, so you can protect your personal property called your own body, right?
Okay, but this is getting into sort of that anarcho-capitalism type of
No, you're bringing in buzzwords. I'm asking you basic questions. You have the right to use violence to defend your personal property called your body, right?
Well, okay, I support majority rule. That's my thing, right?
No, you're not answering my question. This is yes or no. Do you have the right to protect your personal property called your body? In other words, does a woman have the right to say no to a man who wants to have sex with her?
My thing is that I support majority rule. So, because
you can keep repeating that, and I'll repeat my question once more, and if you don't answer it, I'll move on to the next caller. I'm not being threatening. This is just the reality. I like to have conversations, not somebody just repeating things like a broken record. Does a woman have the right to say no to a man who wants to have sex with her?
I'm trying to explain my position, though.
Does a woman have the right to say no to a man who wants to have sex with her?
Well, obviously, but that has nothing.
Okay, so hang on. So she can exercise control over her personal property called her vagina, right?
Well, yeah.
She controls the use of that vagina.
Okay, but having control over your own body is not the same as having control over other people's land. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, well, okay, so I have control over my own body, but that doesn't mean I can steal other people's land. That doesn't.
Okay, let me ask you this. If I go and steal something from you, well, first of all, stealing requires the concept of property, so I don't know how you're going to evade that one. But let's say I come and steal something from you. Am I responsible for that theft? Am I responsible for the moral action of stealing from you?
Well, okay, the one type of property that I do agree with is the idea of collective.
Okay, no. You stop bringing in collective. You're not answering my question. If I steal something from you, am I responsible for the action of stealing?
Well, okay, but let's talk about what is theft, though. What counts as theft?
You just said if someone goes and steals someone else's land. So we already understand the concept of theft. So if I come and steal something from you, am I morally responsible for stealing? Am I responsible for the action called stealing?
Who stole what first?
No. Let's just assume that okay, let me if you're having trouble with this one, let's go. Let's say that Bob, some guy named Bob, goes and rapes a woman. Is he responsible for that rape?
Well, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, that's fine. So Bob is responsible for the effects of his actions. He owns the effects of his actions, right? I mean, if Bob rapes the woman, we go and punish Bob because he was the one who raped her. So he's responsible for what he creates, for what he does, for the effects of the actions of his body on the world. He owns what he creates. Now, this is as true of a crop that you've planted and watered and grown. It is true of an unowned land that you have enclosed and you have taken control of and you have cleared and you have planned. You can keep talking. I'll just keep talking until I'm done because it's my show again. So if you have taken unowned land and you have you've cleared it and you've built a house, these things exist that didn't exist before. You own the effects of your actions in a positive sense in the stuff that you create, in the same way that you own the effects of your actions in a negative way in terms of crimes that you may commit. So we own ourselves and we own the effects of our actions.
So how much do you owe to the Native Americans then for taking their land?
I'm sorry?
So how much is owed to the Native Americans for taking land that belongs to them?
Well, nothing.
Why?
Because I didn't take any lands from anyone.
Somebody took that land and then you acquired that stolen property.
But they're all dead.
No. You see, if I steal,
and how much do the Indians do the Indians owe to each other for enslaving each other?
Okay,
how much do the Indians owe to each other for initiating wars and genocides against each other?
Can I make a point? So if I steal a painting from you and I give that painting to my child, when I die, does that painting belong to my child?
If you steal a painting from me,
yes,
and then you die,
I die. I gave the painting,
right?
And my child inherited that painting from me,
right?
He didn't steal a painting from you, but he inherited that painting from me. So who does that painting belong to? Does it belong to my kid now, or does it belong to you?
But stealing is illegal.
See, there we go. But exactly. Well, okay, let's talk about that. So land was stolen from the Native Americans, right?
No. Sorry. How was it stolen? They were nomads. They weren't mostly farmers, right? They were nomads. How was it stolen?
Well, I believe in collective. That's why I said I believe in human collective ownership over the land. So the natives collectively owned that area. And it was their choice to allot property the way they wanted to, right? And if they say, okay, well, let's not really talk about property.
But they didn't respect each other's property rights. They regularly waged war and enslaved people. They found pits with hang on, man, for God's sakes. One more interruption. I'm moving on. Okay, it's your choice. I'm exercising control over the property of my time and my ear.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. You keep saying go ahead like I'm being irrational, but you keep yammering into my ear while I'm trying to make a point.
Okay, go ahead.
The natives in North America did not respect each other's property rights at all. They raided, they took people as slaves, they killed, they found pits with like 500 bodies thrown in with their skulls tortured and crushed and maimed, and they raped, and so they didn't respect each other's property rights, but somehow the Westerners who come over and actually offer value in return for the property and enter into contracts and enter into treaties, some of which were broken by... Oh, okay, we're moving on. Thanks very much for your call. I appreciate that, but I'm going to have to stick to my word. Let's move on to the next caller.